Some of you already know Donna, and I think I might have met her. John Eubanks and I went through and saw their facility, which is sort of a Fab Lab type of facility, and we wanted to just stay there. It was really cool. And she's the head of this thing at Blue Valley called the Center for Advanced Professional Studies, and she's going to talk to us today about STEM education. But Donna, what we've already kind of talked about a little bit about how do we inspire these kids, especially middle school kids, is the age we were talking about, with entrepreneurship and innovation, and I think you're going to dovetail right into that. So I'll just let you take it from there.
Okay, so what I thought I would do is just give you a little bit of an overview of the program, and then I do want to wrap with telling you that there are now 11 districts in 5 different states that are replicating the CAPS program, and it's a much leaner model, less costly, and we're seeing it as a scalable one to rural and also urban communities. So I'm going to give you an overview of what the model that we started in Blue Valley, and then leave some time for questions, okay? First of all, I think I want to just explain what this model is, and it has been, you know, this long, which is amazing. We are now in 2014, and our first, I guess, cohort that started in the building at Sprint and Black and Beach and Freedom Bank and DLR Group and 3 other satellites. That first year, those kids are now graduating from college, and we have kept in touch with them. So it's been fascinating watching what this program, how it's impacted our alumni, how it's gotten them into jobs. So it's been a real interesting ride, because this first group that we fully embedded in those businesses and actually had school at Sprint and we had school at Black and Beach has really been life-altering. So, well, the only thing that we work on is high-demand, high-skilled jobs. So if a trend is in the economic development is upward, in other words, there's a workforce need, then that is a program that we will bring into CAPS. If it's not, then we will not bring it in. Or if, like, for instance, if we bring in a program and it goes downward in economic development and workforce needs, then we will eliminate the program. Just want to let you know that that's our monarch for what types of programs we bring in. We are really not trying to get kids ready for college. We have high schools that do a great job of getting them ready for post-secondary opportunities. What we're trying to do is get them into the cutting-edge technology and equipment and project work of the real people that do the real jobs. This is a young man that's at Garmin, and we can't afford the stuff that he's playing with right now, so the students actually will go to that site to use that type of technology. All the software, all of the equipment that we use here is not what you use in high school, and it's not what you use in college. We're emulating what it would be to be like in the industry that they are interested in. Again, our curriculum is driven by industry need, and it's also driven by industry partners saying this is what's hot right now. You need to be teaching X, Y, or Z. And then we will do that type of cleansing, if you will, of our curriculum every semester. So that way then students are assured that their curriculum, their experiences are at the rate of change that the industry is driving. Most all of the work that the students are involved in is real project work, and the model that we are seeing replicated is even more project work that is given to us as the curriculum. So we aren't driving the curriculum. The industry partners drive that with the real projects that are then delivered to real clients in the actual businesses. Typically, a kid gets good enough and then it turns into a paid internship. We're rolling a bunch of our seniors right now out into college level internships, and they've spent that semester, second semester and senior year, and they're headed into those internships now between, the summer between their senior year and their freshman year in college. All of our courses are high school and college credit, And the model is 2.5 hours in the morning, and then they are then back at their home high school, or they come to us in the afternoon where they've spent the bulk of the morning in their home high school. They're here with us every day for a full semester, 2.5 hours every day. And then that is transcript with high school credit. Some of that's core credit, and then a college credit. So why and how does this happen? And I think the main thing is that we're not replicating school. We did not look at schools to replicate. We looked outside of the educational system, and we looked at where the kids were going. So we literally benchmark and live in the environment like a Google office or a fast tech company or an advanced manufacturing company. What are they learning? What are they doing? What are the skill sets required? And how do we treat these students is exactly like how you would treat them in the environment of that work or that office. We have looked at some role models that are all highly fast, and then we've got some local leaders that are here that help guide some of the larger initiatives of curriculum. But what we found, and this is the picture with the spaces, what we found to be almost the most effective, and that's what most of the replicators are doing now, is they are having class in an office, in an advanced manufacturing environment, and a teacher is there with students, and the whole curriculum is driven by business problems and projects and innovations that need to be happening in that specific business. Something that helps make this work is we have a whole clear set of different types of instructors. You'll notice that 85% of the instructors that teach in this environment have been in the business world. They might have a career like me. I was trained as a teacher, principal, went to the business world, entrepreneur, now back in education. Or they came from AT&T as a network manager. Now they were teaching math in one of our middle schools, and now they're here at CABS teaching the technology solutions class. We do have 22% of these folks that come straight from the field of expertise, and so the blend of deep high school instructors and also people straight from the field, like we have a lawyer that actually teaches our law class, and he is on a visiting scholar teaching license, and we traditionally have a different lawyer every year that will work with us. So the blend of the staff is another real magic part. What we really opened was a Pandora's box when we started asking local leaders for how do we serve you? You are taxpayers, we are a public entity, we're public education, we're here to serve your workforce needs. When we started asking those questions, magic started happening, and we now have hundreds of business partners. Some of those are international folks, and it's all because we are trying to be a provider or a supplier of workforce talent to a variety of different entities. So that partnership is what drives the experience that you see, and that's what drives the kids' success. If you look at this schema here, this is just a little bit of a picture of how we work or how business partners really work with us. This is an international engineering firm, Black & Veatch. I would say that this relationship is about 5 years old. And if you look at the dot, the white dot, that's where it started. So 5 years ago, 2008, 2009, we asked them, what are you not seeing in your current college graduates? What are the skill sets that they're missing? What do you wish they had? And how about, do you have enough of those? Do you have enough software engineers? Do you have enough civil engineers? And so that conversation led to having them help us write the curriculum. They began to mentor students. They speak and provide guest instruction. They give us a place free to send a whole classroom of students, and that classroom is embedded completely in the business. They provide equipment at this point. They also provide monetary support, and this professional development, and let's just go to the next one. Cerner is a medical and IT company. The professional development, and this is the magic of when you have this many business partners, all of these companies do professional development for their employees. Well, we send our students and our teachers free to that. So what's 2 more seats, 5 more seats in an agile software development training class at Cerner? And our kids and our teachers are state of the art then, because they've got the most cutting edge information because they sit in on the professional development of that company. You'll notice that there's also a client project, and that varies. This is another engineering firm, Burns and McDonnell. That varies from client to client. So there are certain projects that we get from certain companies that are delivered directly to a team of engineers or directly to a marketing group, whatever the project is. You'll notice this relationship with Garmin is not as robust in client projects, but I will tell you they have mentors here mentoring every day. They've given us a ton of monetary and equipment. So you can see that all of these business partners, they do what they want to do. We don't tell them what to do. We are a servant to them. And so that's why these partnerships are so very diverse. You'll notice that as we travel through this last one I'll show you, this one is a 2-year relationship. And the only thing that we do with this company is an ongoing product development project. The VP of product development in this company, they make large storage containers that hold water, sand, petroleum, as big as football fields. And they are now entering into the fracking environment. And they wanted us, and we do a little bit of this every year, they wanted our marketing students to take a look at a niche market presence in, first of all, it was, I think, South Dakota, and then it was another state. So what a robust project. It's ongoing, but that's the only thing that this company does with us. So again, these partnerships are very diverse. These are the replicators that I spoke of. I'm going to take a drink of water just a minute here. You'll notice that there are 6 in Missouri, and they have come together as a consortium of 6 districts, and they call themselves Northland CAPS. Topeka, Kansas will launch theirs this fall in August. And then you'll notice there's Utah, Park City, Utah has launched their PC CAPS. They launched it this year. And then Waukee, Iowa, which sits right outside of Des Moines, they will launch in the fall of 2014. And then Minnetonka, Minnesota, they launched their CAPS-like program this year in August of 2013. All of the replicators are all tied to economic development. All the replicators use business partners to drive the way or to lead the way. But you will find some differences because of the communities that they are currently in, just because of they're following the economic development needs of that community and the workforce needs. So I'm going to stop and let you ask some questions. And I think we're at about 2:30, and I can't tell if you're asleep or not. So, so if you're asleep, just try not to snore too hard. So let's open it up for some questions, and I'd be happy to entertain those now.
Donna, this is Jim. So the relationships with these businesses, that they all pretty much started with you just contacting them and going to try to inquire them how you could be of service?
Yeah, primarily what happened is we, when I was first hired on in 2008, we had no business partners because we hadn't asked the right question. We as educators were asking the question, we need more money, please help us, but we're going to do whatever we want to do. And that's how we were treating these business partners. So what we did is we flipped the question and we said to them, and these were people that we knew because it was either, contacts that I had, it was contacts that our board members had, or maybe it was a board member that actually worked at one of these companies, or it was a parent that worked at one of these companies. And so we knew enough to know where the workforce needs, and you can figure that out in your community. You just go to chamber meetings, you pull up your your stuff with your economic development folks, you're going to have a good landscape of, you're going to know where people are struggling. And I can guarantee it's software engineers and it's systems engineers and it's software development, it's bioscience, it may be some financial services. There's a lot in advanced manufacturing, and so wherever the hot spot is, that's who we talked to, and we tried to figure out who we knew in those companies. So if you go back to Black and Beach, they have a workforce issue around engineers. Well, who did we know? Well, gosh, our board president works there. That's great. So we're going to start with him, and he would get us a meeting, and we would listen and say, you know, what are you challenged with in the next 5 years? What is it that you're seeing that you've got issues as far as recruiting? Do you have brain drain? Have you got people that come in and you recruit them from the coast and then they stay for 2 years and then they leave? What is the issue that you've got? And how do we now partner with you to be able to help close that gap? And then we brought in our university partners that would help us create what we call a seamless pipeline, a pipeline that starts with the industry need and then works its way back into high school and or middle school. We are working with kids as young as 4th grade now. And there's a pipeline that kids can follow and work with partnering universities to make it more streamlined. And so, like, for example, one of the pipelines that we've got working with Johnson County Community College and then now with KU Edwards is they're calling it a degree in 3. So it's a 4-year computer science or computer software engineering degree from KU or Kansas University. And they get a year of it when they're in high school. It's not a full 2 years, but they get a year of it so that they aren't having to, give up a lot of what we would typically call a high school experience. But that partnership was rendered because of the fact that the IT needs are so desperate in a few big companies that are in our area. So that's how it started. The teachers here are expected to manage their business partner relationships. They manage their mentors. And so there's a lot of us, all of us are engaged with those partners once we bring them in. Does that help answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. How about other thoughts that you might have?
I may have missed it, but I'd like to ask her.
Here comes one.
Hi, Donna. I'm Mary Jo Dancer with Independence Community College, and I'm the new Workforce Development Coordinator. And it's been my job for the last 4 months to go around and visit with businesses and industries in our area and ask.
Okay, so you need to talk to this person. This is the person. This is the person that you need. She's got all the data, right?
Poor mushroom.
So somebody needs to take her to lunch and say, what have you learned? This is the gold mine. And you'll find people like that. So I hate to interrupt, but you're perfect.
Well,
You're perfect.
And it's been a real privilege to do this in my community and in Southeast Kansas. And Jim's done a great job with the summit today, and it's just been a wonderful opportunity for us to connect with other people in our Southeast Kansas area. And those connections mean a lot. So as you spoke and reached out to the different industries, and you gathered the information that you needed to give to your professors to make that pipeline start working, and you customized and tailored individual programs for individual industries, how long a process does that take? And how many people are involved? I mean, you had a pilot probably, is that way when you spoke with the first business?
I wish it was that clean. We were so pressed for no money and no time that we really couldn't use a traditional educational curriculum development process. We wouldn't have enough time, and we wouldn't have enough of the dollars to purchase normal traditional textbooks or anything, because because of the rapidness that we were expected to move. So what we do is we use what's called, and you'll know this process because industry uses it. It's called rapid prototyping curriculum development. And so it is never done. But one semester is not the same as the next semester that we teach it. And the way that happens, in the beginning, you have a prototyping team. And that prototyping team is mainly industry people. And then you have a high school representative who usually morphs into the lead in that program. And then you've got a university person there. And basically, what we're doing is we're listening to what industry needs. And then the high school person's trying to figure out how to get high school credit out of it. And then the university person is trying to figure out what course is it kind of like. And then, but basically what we drive is, or who drives is the industry. And then through iterative cycles of feedback, and sometimes those can take as little as a day, you shoot it out, get some feedback, pull it back in, we make some changes, push it back out. And then the fastest one that we've ever done is 3 weeks. And that was, we hired a person in November, they had to teach in January, and she did some work over Christmas, basically to get this up and running for students in January. Now, I will tell you that one of ours that we had some longer time, our bioscience strand, that took 2 years of work. A lot of that, though, was constructing labs that mimicked industry. But when you're living in an industry partner and they're letting you use their space and their equipment and all of their people, it's really fast. Because all you really need, you don't need to buy anything. You see what I mean? It's not like it won't take as long. So does that help? It's really demand driven, and it's never perfect. I'll tell you that, because you teach it once, and midway through the semester you hear from industry partners saying, "Here's," and my best example is our technology solutions class. First semester we were not teaching ethical hacking. We were not teaching about cyber crime and the unbelievable trajectory of jobs in ethical hacking. And so we didn't know it. And so then the industry partner introduces it, and the teacher says, "I don't know anything about that. When are you going to come and teach that?" And he said, "I'll be there tomorrow." And so that's how fast it moves. So once you have the relationship with these guys and gals from industry, you can move with them. But if you have to, schedule an appointment and have a committee meet, you see what I mean? It just doesn't move that fast. But once you have those relationships, and it sounds like you've got a great feel for what they need. And once people feel like you're helping them get what they need in their work, they're all in. They're ready to do whatever, especially somebody that have got some companies that have an aged workforce. We've talked with some electrical companies that they've got 5 years before they're going to lose 40% of their workforce. I mean, that's a train wreck of what can happen. So, yeah, they're happy to help. I'm not hearing you.
I don't think we made any noise that moment.
Thank you, Donna. We lost you there for just a minute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think what you've got, though, is the demand-driven information. And once you have that, then it's a reverse engineering, really, literally. This is what they need for the next few years. This is where it's going. If you've got that and you've got connections in those businesses, you've got the essence of what you need.
I just see it moving awfully quickly. It's like you said, because of technology, it seems like we're a little bit behind, but we can gather this information. We are forming an advisory board, and it will have the business and industry piece that you mentioned, plus our professors and our trustees represented on that. But I'm glad to hear you say to bring in the high school, certainly, and then we've reached out to some of the area businesses also to ask them if they would provide internship opportunities as well, like you mentioned before. So I think we're on the right track.
Yeah, and you know this, how business people can't sit still very long. And so it is really important to move as fast as them or they won't help. You know what I mean? They're not, because every minute they spend in a committee meeting is hundreds of dollars. So so it sounds like you got the right people in the room, and the other thing that I would do is I would pilot small. You know, like this year in the Northland with those 6 school districts, we literally started with 2 satellites. We hired 2 teachers 3 weeks before school started. We embedded a group in Cerner, which is an IT company, and another group at Holland 1916, which is an advanced manufacturing company. And it was crazy. And we had no time to get these teachers up to speed on curriculum. So you know what happened that was so beautiful is that it was all of the business projects. It was amazing. And so those kids immediately were immersed in lean manufacturing. They saw the whole process. They started identifying value chains. These are 17-year-olds. Value streams, making recommendations for waste removal. I mean, it was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. And it was desperation, right? Because we didn't have the time to really have all that finished. So we just relied on the business partners to give us real project work.
Very exciting.
How about other questions that you might have?
This is Val DeFever. I'm a trustee at the college and a former elementary teacher. When you talked about children as young as 4th grade working through this process or through your initiative, what kind of work are they doing at 4th grade level?
It's after school, so we're not embedded in the actual schools. So our mentors that are from Garmin and Sprint and some other tech companies are working on problem solving, and it's primarily right now in the area of coding and coding robots to create autonomous behavior, that type of work, but it's an after school thing.
And is it predominantly with children that are probably in the gifted program?
No, we take all kids. And in fact, the high school program is emulating what the workforce is telling us, and that is we need passionate kids that show up on time and that, you know, are dressed appropriately and know how to work in groups, and a grade point. If that's all the kids got, don't send me that one. So we have all kinds of kids, and what happens is they find what they're interested in, and the light bulb goes on, and they engage. And you didn't know that high school kid had a 1.97 grade point and actually has a perfect ACT score. So it's those are the kids we miss if we have that marker. And our business partners told us, don't do that. Bring us employees that are passionate, that are really want to work, love what they do, and not a perfect 4.0. Yeah, but we do have gifted kids, and those kids go so far beyond. I mean, it just is amazing how far they can go, because they're working beyond what the school can give them. They're working in the areas of the research labs of, our Stowers Institute or KU Cancer Center or whatever. And yeah, I had a gal that is graduating this year, and she has been doing college visits, very elite schools, and every time the professors are saying, no, you did not do this in high school. I mean, they're literally telling her, and she's got her research, she's been written, and published with a researcher, and the guys are going, no, I don't believe that. So, and you've got kids like that, and if you can start with them in 4th grade, holy cow, can you imagine what they'd be like in high school?
Donna, this is Dixie, would you share how many students you have in your program right now?
In Blue Valley, we serve, close to about 900 seats throughout the year, which is a little bit under 20% of our juniors and seniors. And that's 5 high schools, and then it's also private schools and homeschool students. So we take anybody, private schools and homeschool students. Now, I did see that you were laughing at that. Is that a lot of kids or not a lot of kids?
That's about 3 times more than we have in our school system.
Well, then you're going to work on a ratio, a certain percentage. But it's interesting you say this because these school districts we're working with in the Northland, they're smaller. And it's 6 superintendents coming together to lift up one program, like a TAPS program. So they've got 55,000 kids amongst them and 11 high schools, but they're spread out. They're like more of a rural type of a placement. And so this year we had 28 kids. Next year we were funded for 400 seats. We got close to 700 requests. And so we had to even go back in and ask if the superintendents could come up with a little bit of more money and pay for one more teacher. And we still had to say no to some kids, but we'll serve close to 500 seats next year across 6 districts. That the footprint from one district to the farthest west one to the farthest east one is very large. So it's really an interesting rural model of how you can share what each other has, because nobody can do it all by themselves.
Are they building a building similar to what you have there?
No, absolutely not. And that is a lesson learned that we have here in Blue Valley. We should have kept more satellites. And so what we're doing in the Northland is trying to create a scalable model, a model that will work for districts who have no money. And so what it looks like in a scalable version is really on the backs of these business partners, and they're happy to provide it. So the only building that will have any presence in, and by the way, I'm going to take the role of the regional executive director to prove this model out. The only thing that we will eventually have is some free space in a larger building in Gladstone, but it will be surrounded by different businesses. So again, it's working out of the business environment. We're finding that is the fastest immersion to getting kids into internships, because it's now only taking us 1 semester with these kids versus it takes us longer here in Blue Valley to get them out. So it's been an interesting ride to see how you make it cheaper and how you make it work for kids that are urban kids that don't look like Blue Valley kids that are from a rural environment. And I'd love for you to come see it in the fall if you're ever interested. We'll have 5 satellites. 2 of them are hospitals that are supporting our medicine and healthcare students. But there's an advanced manufacturing company, there's a tech company, and then a banking industry that's going to house our business kids.
So this is Jim